I am here with Calvin Hexter, and today we're going to be talking about how to buy a townhouse in Edmonton, Alberta. We are in a real-life townhouse here right now. This is a newer one, not newer, but it's newly renovated, right?
It is.
Yes. And so this would be something different than maybe a lot of the other townhouses that people see on a regular basis where, you know, maybe it's a little bit more original, maybe it's not as updated, but this one is like fresh. This is like, looks like it was just recently fixed and flipped.
Definitely. Yeah. I mean, the renovated townhouses tend to offer lower vacancy because it'll tailor to a larger demographic in the tenant pool.
Mm-hmm. People generally, they wouldn't be as interested in something like this because you are going to see a higher price tag for something like this compared to maybe the same unit next door, but it's, you know, got older carpet or older cabinets.
Right. I think the advantage to purchasing something that's turnkey is that you can finance it through the bank versus paying cash and having to renovate it yourself. Mm-hmm. So if you're looking for simplicity and ease based on your investment journey, something turnkey can definitely lend itself to be a great option for you. However, if you do want to put the extra work in, or you're willing to in a couple of years, then maybe finding something that isn't as renovated as something like this could be a good option for you.
Well, what about tenant profile? Comparing an older property, less renovated or unrenovated, to something that's newer, are you going to get a better tenant profile in Edmonton?
I think that you will. I think you're going to, ask yourself, would you rent here or would you rent from, this older space? But I think it's not only just the tenant profile that you're going to see a difference in. We talk about vacancy all the time, and vacancy right now in Edmonton is quite low. But when vacancy changes, is your unit going to be rented before the neighboring unit if that neighboring unit is identical but older? Even if rent is lower, which unit do you think will get tenanted first?
Well, naturally, the nicer looking one, right? I mean, that's just common sense. That's exactly what tenants are looking for. I think that's a really important tip is when you are thinking about buying an investment property, you have to think about your tenant first and what they want, and not necessarily just how the numbers work. Because sometimes it might be a little bit more appealing to buy a property that's maybe $40,000 or $50,000 less in Edmonton, just to make the numbers cash flow a little bit better or get a better return on investment. But like you said, when the cycle inevitably does its thing, are you going to be able to rent it out quickly, or are you going to be having it sit on the market for months?
Definitely. Yeah. And again, we'll always go back to the desirability map. In C areas, we typically encourage you to upkeep your unit better, knowing that C areas offer quite the options for tenants. There's a lot of options for tenants in those C areas. So we want to make sure that your option looks like the better option. If you're in an A area, you could have something that's a little bit more run down because vacancy is so low and there's such a large demographic looking that you can get away with more maintenance deficits.
Right. So maybe just one last tip for someone who's looking to buy a townhouse in Edmonton, because it's a very hot topic. I know people across Canada are all asking about, how do I buy townhouses in Edmonton? Everyone's doing it. What's one last thing that you would consider when someone's trying to make a decision to go with an older unit, maybe a little bit cheaper compared to a newer renovated unit?
I think it depends on how much cash is available for them. So when things do come up, again, capital expenditures are going to be covered mainly by condo fees and the reserve fund that's been created. But there is going to be some internal things like furnace and hot water tanks. So it's understanding the lifespan of those and making sure that if you are buying a unit, you do have capital that will be available when that life cycle comes due, because everything has that cycle.
Mm-hmm. So there you have it, guys. If you guys are interested in learning more about buying Edmonton townhouses, reach out to myself or reach out to Calvin Hexter at Calvin Realty. We'll definitely get you started on getting you set up with your search and finding that right investment deal.